Yo, what's poppin', y'all? Hey, man, I just really wanted to give you guys the details and the essence of why Kingship was even created, but even more so, the history of my dating life, you know what I'm saying? And that's why, I like to tone in on the repair past relationship traumas. So here's a little glance about me. So when I was born and raised, I was born and raised in church since I was from 0 to 17, born and raised in church, right? And then by doing so, in church, Christianity, you have a sense of how to go about relationships, marriage, and things of that nature, right? Which is all handy and fun. So nevertheless, that's the type of upbringing and teaching that I had. 17, right? Decided to join the military to escape my poverty essence of living. And then by doing so, I came across a beautiful Jamaican woman. And then by having that essence of when that relationship started, it was kind of on the basis of, it was kind of like I didn't start the relationship. Kind of just went in for it with her in that regard, after boot camp and stuff. And we just started going for it. And then with her, I actually lost my virginity. Now, by losing my virginity, I think we all know how powerful that is, especially as a man. You start to just think about sex 24/7, right? When in the military, after A school, she was in Virginia and I was in Hawaii. Being born and raised in church, before I even left her, departed, I got her a promise ring and like, yo, nigga, we about to be a family. So whenever, I decided to take that leap with her, I'm like, yo, this is about to be forever. That's what it's supposed to go. And then by doing that forever type of mechanism, when we were separated for a year or so, or throughout that time of just being separated, one thing I could think about was sex. Sex. And I was like, man, I don't really know nothing about this. So because I ain't got nothing else on my time on my hand, I just started. I went on Google and started to look for like, hey, anybody know how to start learning about sex, dating coaches and stuff like that, right? And then I ended up getting, 3 of them in that process, a woman and 2 guys. And then by doing so, I started to flood my mind with just so much about a woman's body, my body, even more so the motions, patterns, rhythms, just everything about sex, the different parts of her body, my body, what it's called and all this stuff, and just how to really maximize everything, because one thing about sex, I want to educate myself on that. And then by doing so, I kid you not, every single day, man, it was harder and harder to actually start to just think about her and miss her so much. So praying, going to church all the time. I really wasn't with the friends type of stuff. I was just bulldog at work, just doing my thing, right? And then to speed up that process more so, when I finally got to be able to meet her again and able to go out there for our birthdays and stuff to Virginia, and this was like in March to September time frame, whenever we was just apart, right? And then by doing so, I was just getting prepared. I did Insanity. I was just doing all the program Insanity physics stuff. I just did all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure my body was physically prepared, my mind was physically prepared, so when I got to it, I was gonna fuck her world up. And then by that process, that's how it went down. She was surprised to hell by my body. Me, myself, I was like, man, all this craziness, all this loyalty, all this, no cheating. No, I didn't do nothing. It was pure essence of me. I got through it and I was able to get her, be with her. It was all worth everything that I dealt to. And also too, after that process, we made a plan to see each other in December time. So around Christmas time or like somewhere around that time in Hawaii. So she's come out to fly to me. The next few months, I'm like, okay, cool. I can get through it and things of that nature, right? Now, by next few months, underways and all the stuff like that, right? Still was able to stay strong. Obviously, I was still pure the whole time, no lying, no cheating, no none of that shit, right? This is my first relationship. So at this time, I'm around 19. So now, she comes out to Hawaii, her and her friends, right? And about her coming out to Hawaii and her friends, it really, it was kind of interesting to peep game on, like, whenever we got off the airport, she's not trying to give me a hug or kiss or nothing like that. It's just kind of like weird vibes. And I'm just in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm gonna kind of disregard all that stuff, right? And I'm gonna just get started and just keep pushing. Like, them signs don't mean anything. I'm gonna just keep, full throttle in it, right? But it got to a point of like, the first day I had duty, so what duty means, I had to stay on the ship 24 hours. And I had to go pick her up from the airport. When my duty section lead let me do that shit, so that was dope. Went to go get her, got her set up, situated in my room, and her friend situated, got a car, got everything like that, right? Next morning, get off duty, like, what time it is, I'm about to go get it in. Yes, sir, go get it in. It didn't work out that way. It's like, obviously, you would think, not seeing each other for months and months and months, you would think the first thing you guys about to do to get reconnected is to have some intimacy of sex. But that wasn't the case at all. It's like I was trying to low-key beg for it, and just kind of like, I'm ignoring all these signs. Looking back upon it, I'm like, it was so obvious she was doing some shit when she wasn't around me, but nevertheless. We ended up having it, but it's kind of like, it seemed like it was low-key forced, like she didn't want to, but I did. So nevertheless, by getting through that, let's fast forward that time for 2 weeks. I was there for her and her friends, you know, and just being all that, right? Now, the day she was about to leave, that day, early that morning, I had duty, right? How this all lines up. And she ended up straight up told me, like, this is not gonna work. Like, this is over with, you know, I can't do this anymore. And the thing about it is that throughout that time, I learned that there's a lot of women that actually goes about, they need physical touch. And physical touch out of all the love languages is just a powerful thing. You know, you can have emotions, you can have mental stimulation, you can have all those things, but physical touch over a long period of time, it needs to be fulfilled. That's just what I learned in that process. But nevertheless, physical distance was just killing her. Basically, it was just wearing her down. She just couldn't deal with it anymore, so she'd rather just disregard for me and do her own thing, right? And so for me, being a young cat in the game, being born and raised in God, praying him all the time, crying him and all stuff like that and all, and I'm just like, wow, why the fuck this ain't work out? Like, what is this? Like, I'm doing every other thing. I'm low-key being a sucker. I'm being a sucker. That's just what it is. And nothing wrong with that, but looking back upon it, that's what I was. Really asking myself why this not happen, I don't believe it. So during that time, I had duty, I had the first fucking watch. So I'm crumbling on the inside, damn near trying to keep it together so hard. I wanted to cry, just all this shit, but I'm sitting in the back of the ship by my damn self, just wishing people come aboard, come aboard. Like, I'm just like keeping it together. But nevertheless, she left that day, and it was like, wow, ain't this some shit? I did all this effort, all this stuff. And even during that time, I even cleared out like thousands of my dollars to give to her because she was in like some debt on her credit card. I'm like, nah, my woman ain't gonna have no debt. So I'm gonna give my money to make sure you good and cleared and all that, right? So I was doing off the wall shit. I even ordered her pizza when I was in Hawaii and she was in Virginia. I ordered her pizza, got it lined. Bro, I was doing a lot. I was showing effort, whatever, right? But long story short, in that regard, in that relationship, how that ended, it just ended. And for me, throughout those days, I kept calling her, trying to text her, like trying to like, nah, this ain't right. We gonna figure this out, we're gonna work it out and stuff like that. And being young in the game, she just blocked me on everything. She just disregarded me. I didn't exist anymore. And for me, you know, during that time, my roommate, you know, he was a player in the game. He was an OG in the game, so he was always getting women and stuff like that, right? And so since we was roommates at that time, he just kind of filled me up on that's how life worked. And I was like, I didn't want to believe that, but that's just what it is, savagery. So nevertheless, I couldn't look back upon it. I really didn't heal. I really didn't heal at all. But I was just fighting through it and figuring it out. But I can tell you what, during that time, I definitely fell away from reading the Bible, going to church like that, and things of nature, hardcore like that. Because it didn't make sense how God would allow me to deal with this shit. It didn't make sense, right? So that's why I just kind of like, nah, I'm moving forward with all that, right? Moving forward with all that. So now a few months later, 3, 4, 5 months later, we're cool. Now my last ex, I met her at the club, you know, and from that moment, we were just basically, fast forward time, was friends with benefits throughout the first year, right? Just kind of just hitting it off here and there and stuff, just nothing no crazy. But for me, I knew she wasn't loyal to me because it was friends with benefits, right? And it was hard for me to swallow. But yeah, for me, I couldn't say I was really healed properly. I could just say that I was kind of loyal to her, but I really was on the slick, because the fact is, that's all I know how to be. You know, I don't know how most men are, but for me, that's all I know how to be. It's freaking just be loyal. And when I say loyal, I can't help but be there to provide and go full throttle. And even sometimes, young in the game, I can't even pronounce the word, just me and her, you know, that's how I looked at it, even though I don't care what the fuck she was doing. So for me, that's just how I thought about it, right? And that's just how I went about it because of my upbringing. So I didn't know no better. And so I was learning to navigate like, I don't have to be that way. So in that process, after a year or so, we going on deployment and shit. And people don't know who deployment is, you know, 7, 8 months on the ship, just going out in the world doing some real world mission shit, right? Now, during that time of deployment, my mama actually died. This is around 2015. My mama actually died. And I had to fly from South Korea to Louisiana and do all that stuff, funerals and stuff like that, right? Now, during that time, that actual woman, my ex, she came to come see me and be there with me and for me and support that whenever during that time of craziness. And for me, it just showed a lot on how, you know, wow, this woman is totally different from my last. But even more so, this effort, I love it and I fucks with it, right? So by me loving it and fucks with it, you know, we kind of solidify like, you know, we're going to be girlfriend and boyfriend, especially when I get back. You know, even during this time, we was going to be girlfriend and boyfriend. But for me on deployment, I'm wilding. I'm wild to do what the fuck I want to do on deployments, experience and shit. I done all kind of stuff. You know, I done paid for sex. I done I didn't, you know, I just did all kind of shit to just understand everything about a woman, because I didn't do shit at all in my life. So I didn't know you could pay for sex. I didn't know you could pay all this bullshit like that, right? I did it all. Now, nevertheless, when I get back to Hawaii, right? Because I'm going to get through all this shit. It's almost over. I'm going to get through all this shit. I ain't talking about it ear off. But I really want you guys to understand my heritage of me in the dating world, and even more so in life, and how all this complexity created what I am now, a menace. Now, nevertheless, now coming back from Hawaii, right? Now I was kind of getting back in the swing of just being around her all the time, 24/7. My ex, and she's Hawaiian. This one is actually a Hawaiian queen, or Hawaiian guy, she should say. Now, the first year, I mean, I kid you not, I wasn't really loyal, cheating and all this stuff. And back in the day, cheating is more so she's loyal to me in the sense of sexual activity and just everything. But I wasn't really being loyal to her, and she didn't know about it, right? And then that's just how that was. So for me, I was navigating things totally different and a totally different foundation. But even more so after that year, you know, switched back and take on more so exclusive. I can't pronounce that word. I keep fucking it up. Just me and her type of vibe. But then it was now time for me to go to Bahrain, right? Now this is, I get stationed in Bahrain, and she couldn't come with me, obviously. Now when I went to Bahrain, right, this is the turn up year. Every man has a wild out period, right? Well, this is my wild out period. I was turned the fuck up. So basically out there in Bahrain, man, if people don't know what that is, the Middle East, right across the Gulf from Iran. That shit, the women out there, scrumptious, just bodies, everything. Women kept them. I ain't never seen no shit like this before in my life. I was, you know, fucking all kind of shit all the time. If I'm not on duty every fourth day, or if I'm not on the way, I have a woman over. Now, the flaw in all of this, though, and I'm going to be real with y'all, the flaw in all this, I had a girlfriend, and I didn't tell her nothing. My time management skills was superb. You know, when I'm waking up, she's going to sleep. When she's going to sleep, I'm waking up because of the time zone difference. And that's how it was. But even more so, and I'm just looking back upon it, kind of fast forwarding it, kind of, so you guys can really understand. For me, I didn't even fuck about nothing. During that time, I was lying, clearly lying. I was cheating, clearly cheating. But the thing about it is that I took her choice away to know what the fuck I was doing, to give her the same opportunity to do what she wanted to do. And by doing so, we could have just still been together, but it would have been open, and that would have been perfectly fine. But during that time, Bahrain, during the time of our actual relationship, you know, I was her actual first relationship. So it was something new to her to really accept that she has somebody, or just realize she deserves that in her life, of having somebody in her life of, you know, damn, you got a rider. You know, I'm here to stay. But I would kid you not, a woman intuition, man, it's nothing to fuck with. And I learned it from day one. So many times when I was about to have sex, or coming from a crib, or texting a woman like, who, she would call me and text me. It was like some weird shit. When you actually get bonded with a woman to a whole nother depth, it changed the world of how she can feel stuff with you that you can't even fucking comprehend. And during that time, it's when it became more vivid to me of the bond that we shared, and even more so how to really, when you connect with somebody and create that bond, y'all can feel each other, y'all can sense shit. A woman sense it more because they're emotional creatures, so they have tapped into their spiritual essence much more than a man does, because it's unknown territory for me. So really asking myself in that regard, like, damn, man, this is weird. Some weird ass shit going on, but nevertheless, I'm gonna continue the course because I was selfish. But you better yet, this is healing me of like, I'm gonna get back mine, because come to find out, you know, years later, like, just a little glance, Tiffany had somebody else. Well, nevertheless, my actual ex had somebody else in regards to really filling her void of what she was missing. And I don't blame her for that, obviously. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just everything that I learned, everything that people feel like is wrong, is because it's not communicated. So that's what makes it wrong. But if it's something that's communicated, then it's all about you accepting it and digesting it. If not, the choice is yours to deal with it, not deal with it. So I don't blame nothing like that. That was part of life. In other words, getting back to that Bahrain shit. That's when my number of actually being in tune with the woman, actually intimacy-wise, went from like maybe 4 to probably like over 100, bro. I kid y'all not. I had a top 5 at all times. My list. Y'all probably asked me, how were you able to manage all that? Like I told y'all before, I paid for women. I've had loyalty women. I've understood women's psychology. Like, I flooded myself at a young age. So now I'm having a space to actually apply all this shit and actually put it all into work. And I kid you not, that's when, I looked at things, I'm a sex god. I could persuade women to do whatever the fuck I want to do because of my sexual essence of how I can go about expressing myself, not like any other man, because I actually took the time to educate myself mentally and apply the shit. But nevertheless, during that time, the flaw of being in a relationship and me of not being properly healed, it caused me to just do all kind of shit that I shouldn't have done because I was in a selfish mode. Now, fast forward time for my reign, right? Now, it was time for me to come from leaving there, from all that shit, to get back to the real world of being with my girl. And in that time of my Hawaiian queen, we decided to come. She was gonna stay with me in Cali, right? So now, during that time, I had to get a spot. And now she was just graduating her college, getting a master's degree. Yes, sir. She was out there grinding, doing her thing. And it was why, I loved her so much. But in the sense of love, I would say for me, it was clouded because of my love changed and what it meant to me, and I never expressed what love was. You see what I'm saying? So a lot of times when you go through some stuff, you got to understand and communicate how past experiences need to be expressed on like what that word means to you. You know what I'm saying? The first love was all based upon God and Christianity. This love wasn't even based upon no foundation at all. It's the love I have for myself, and this is how I'm going to express it. And it's flawed in that because that was selfish. Versus the other one, it's more foundational, but it didn't work out that way. So actually, now being in Hawaii, being in Cali, right? I know this probably seems like a lot to y'all, but it's getting juicy. It's getting juicy. So now I'm back in Cali, right? So now we got a place to stay, right? And this is the first time we're actually staying together. Me and my actual ex, we're staying together. The first 2-3 years, we weren't even staying together, right? So how can you really know you're with somebody that loves somebody if you never really stayed with them, right? So that was the opportunity to stay with each other. And now throughout the first year, of course, she was in a different type of mental state because she just got done with college with a master's degree, and now she's navigating life, trying to figure things out and stuff like that. And for me, obviously, I couldn't help but understand. Well, for me, I couldn't even, people don't understand too, for instance, for me, and a lot of stuff me and my ex have been through, more so I felt, there was a lot of things that happened, even more so in Bahrain. When she graduated and stuff, I went to flying across the world to go see her. A lot of things happened on our part, It's the first time I actually got swung on, by a woman and actually connected two-piece tutu. I'm like, oh, she good with that, I think she got me good. But I never thought I'd be in a situation that to be put hands on. But even more so internally, I'll be lying. Well, this is before I went to, this is during Bahrain, right? So this is kind of like in the midpoint of that year, right? So understanding that for me, I'd be lying to y'all if I said I didn't deserve that two-piece, but even more so a lot of things that happened with us early in the game in that regard, because I know what the fuck I did. I just never expressed it to her. So our actual intuition and all the things like that, I'd be lying to you if I said I didn't deserve it. Now during the situation, and obviously on her part, she didn't know nothing. So this is her organically just being herself. And for me, it was just like, I was gonna get through it and fuck it. I wasn't trying to make a big deal out of it, but still, it's still a situation that I've never been in. And it caused me to be in a sticky situation myself, like, wow. So a lot of times people don't understand too, when you're dealing with shit or you're doing some shit behind the closed doors, stuff like that, when shit happens in life, you think about it like that's your karma, that's your things. But even more so on her end, this is just, she's not doing anything behind closed doors, for not that I know of, and it never been revealed over time. So this is her just being her. So it's kind of some things like, damn, this is her for who she is, but even more so, I'm lying to this girl, so like, fuck, that's an L. But better yet still, I still love her and I'm still here for her. Because in the day, when you fast forward time, loyalty means something different to a man, but I ain't understand it later. But nevertheless, get back into it. So getting two-piece and all the stuff I got during that time, was in a sticky situation in my personality of heart. It started to be revealed to myself and what type of guy I am. I would never hit a woman, can't yell at a woman, can't do none of that shit. It's just more so I support my heart and my soul. So by doing that, right after that two-piece stuff, like that, cool, I still got her home safely and stuff. Then I was flying out that next day. So the decision at hand was in a sticky situation between me and her. Should we continue on or this shit is done? And I just basically expressed, no, we still good. We'll figure this shit out later. Now, months later, now we back in Cali, right? So now we in Cali, right? And then we getting back, and that's the next time I'm seeing her, right? From all that shit we talked over throughout the months of all this FaceTime and this shit. Now we back in Cali, right? Now it's the first time us actually living together. First year, boom, she didn't have a job that whole time. She was trying to navigate life and plan things out, right? Now we trying to plan things like in life. And for me, being military at the time, I'm holding down the money, I'm holding down the bills, I'm holding down everything. Anything we doing, dates and all that stuff, that's all your boy. That's all me, right? But nevertheless, during that time too, it was revealed to me her actual essence of her. But I didn't really want to express that to her. But even more so, if you're not able to, anybody would probably say this too, if you're not able to support financially, support physically. Well, hey, understanding traditionally, if a man's doing all this stuff, then the woman should take care of the household, right? That's just traditional shit, right? But that was during the time when modern women was coming up, and modern women is kind of different. Y'all built different, of course. Y'all built different. Crazy. So nevertheless, she wasn't really brought up and raised in a sense of cooking and cleaning and stuff like that. She was raised in the country, which I understood. But nevertheless, too, to support the team, support the squad, I would hope that's what you do until you actually get a job, right? That just wasn't the case. It just wasn't who she was, which is fine. Me being the guy who I am, it's going to get done regardless. So I was still cooking and cleaning, and she was just figuring out, trying to apply to jobs and just doing things, right? And throughout that time, I'm collecting some debt on our part, because throughout the month we started living check to check and even in negatives. Because of the fact is, for me, I was just understanding that, she gonna eventually get a job, she gonna start paying, and we gonna get all this back in track and stuff like, cool, right? So she eventually got a job around the 2nd year mark, or close to the 2nd year mark, right? And throughout this first year, though, a lot was revealed. And when I say a lot was revealed, that's why I can't blame her looking back. It was more so I expressed some stuff that I did during Bahrain. And that's what put her into a crazy, catastrophic state of like, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Like, and her more so essence of heartache and soul shattering type of vibe was, I took her choice away. Because she was a woman who's worthy and understood, like, Caleb, if you would have just told me, I would have been probably doing whatever I wanted to do, but it wouldn't have changed anything. And that's what fucked me up, of hearing those words. I could have just told this woman this shit. And she was more than able to get through it. And by me taking a choice away, that was flawed. So it kind of just like, I can't blame her. Because she actually flown out to Bahrain to come see me. And she was in the vibe of the clubs and all this shit like that, right? She seen the vibe. She's like, man, she really believed in me and my words of knowing I wasn't doing anything. And I kept telling her, like, I'm good. You can trust me. I was just really good with my words, but yeah, I was very believable. You know what I'm saying? Very believable. So understanding those things, I really dabbled into really understanding how my words is very powerful. And during that time, what it meant to her and what kept her strong during that time. Because, before, I was the loyalty one. I was doing like the coup, and this time, she was the loyalty one, cool like that. And I was the one fucking up. So it's kind of how that crazy happened when I wasn't prepared and healed myself. I caused the same shit to somebody else. So it's all kind of jacked up. And that's what I caused upon her. And I told myself, this is crazy. So I seen me and her. And the thing about it is that during the time of all this stuff being revealed, she needed time to heal. But she didn't even know how she was going to heal because of all the physicalness in the economical world of her not providing and doing other stuff was compiling on her as well. And now dealing with all the truths and stuff started to become revealed. Now, the crazy thing is that I told myself, like, I do love this girl, but even more so, I fucked up, and that's not cool on my part to do those things. But even more so, I would never be the previous, how I experienced it. So because of that, I was going to be here. And when a woman is healing, guys, y'all cannot put that pressure on them to this how long you got to heal. A woman gonna heal when she heal. And a woman healing is her just keep repeating herself and keep talking about it and keep trying to fill in the holes to not let her mind go crazy until she gets a whole summary essence of like, I know what this story was. I know what happened in all entireties. I know everything about it and stuff like that. Cool. Now I can actually accept it because I see everything. But anything that pops up, I know with a man, I can express myself and he's gonna listen to me and try to give me the answers. That's how you healthy allow a woman to heal and help a woman heal. And then after all that stuff is done, then you can start cracking jokes upon it and things of nature, make it even more lighter. So it's not much of a permanent stain. But that's some deep shit for guys to really understand psychology. And that's just what I learned throughout that time. But nevertheless, throughout that, the stuff of that compiling in me, man, it was some tough 3-4 months of us just in a crazy ass mode of what the fuck. But I was willing to deal with it still. And at that time, she really wasn't cooking, cleaning stuff like that. She was just surviving, just going with the flow. And then she eventually got a job, right? Now, getting that job, obviously living together, me collecting this debt starting to pile up, I was more so, okay, we kind of, you get through the healing phase, but even more so, we can't stop reality. We can't let that hinder us. And even more so, if you say, forgive me, and I appreciate that and I understand that, but let's move forward tue. And I'm not trying to push things, but even more so, I'm looking at the economical debt that I'm looking at, but even more so, I see you got a job, so you need to start contributing. But nevertheless, I've come to find out with the woman They're looking to actually find out what they love to do versus what having everything you have at your disposal, just do whatever maximizes me getting the returns of what I'm able to get with that degree. But nevertheless, that just wasn't the case. So she found something that was adequate for what she liked. And even more so, it wasn't a lot of money to actually contribute to the household of bills, in the sense of maybe the light bill and the small bills, right? But the majority of money was going back home to her family to pay car notes and car insurance and stuff like that, which is fine. I also pay home college loans and stuff like that, right? So a lot of her money was for our own survival, and it wasn't really the front running of the actual household for us. So, I mean, it was crazy in the sense of what we was in for the next year. And even more so that first few months, she really didn't hate the job. But I'm like, bro, quit that shit. I'm the safety net. Get a fucking other job quickly. After a few weeks of knowing that, I'm like, bro, fuck that. But she decided to stick with it and stay strong, right? And which is fine. But throughout this time, yet again, I'm still doing all the bills and everything like that, right? So my debt is only increasing because of random shit happening in life. We're still going traveling. We're still buying a whole bunch of stuff. We're still going on dates. We're still doing a lot of that shit, right? So I'm still living check to check. So during that time of the second year, I'm looking at myself like this pressure is crazy and I'm only seeing it growing. So let me start investing in myself and trying to figure shit out, right? That's when I released my book, 2019. That's when niggas like, yo, this is code and stuff. Like, that's when I started doing the podcast. That's when I started doing the clothing line. You know what I'm saying? That's why I invested my money into my inventions and shit. I'm trying to figure out how to relieve my own pressure of life, because I'm seeing I'm not going to get help possibly. Even though I was hoping for it, but I'm starting to lose hope and seeing I'm actually get economical help. So this is when the love essence of actual foundation of being with somebody has started to shake up for me. And I'm just like, look, this love shit is all cool and all, but the reality standpoint, we need to have a place to stay. We need to eat and shit like that. And this shit ain't getting any worse, right? It ain't getting any better. So it started to compile on me. And that's when I made it clear to her, or when this moment happened, when she got fired from my last job that year or so. That's when I kind of got to a fed up point and be like, nah, you got to go. And then so I let her go. I bought her a ticket and got her the fuck out of there. It's not cool. It's kind of random, and during that time, she absolutely needed me and stuff like that. But I'm like, bro, I need help. Like, fuck all this love shit. I need help. This is economical shit. I'm sacrificing what I got to do. It's been like 2 years now. My debt shit like over 15,000 some shit. Like, it was just getting crazy. So nevertheless, after doing all that stuff, and then earlier in my life too, that seemed like a lot of money. Nowadays it ain't. But earlier in my life, that was like, yo, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I didn't know no better. But it was still compiling. So nevertheless, we took a break for like a month or two. And that was the first time we actually had breathed and took a break from each other when we never thought it was gonna be. So it definitely woke us both up. But then she ended up having the opportunity to actually do something that was like entrepreneurship, like Monet. I don't know if everybody heard of Monet, but actually doing that and going for it. And for me, after all this time, I'm like, look, if you're gonna go for something, or because I couldn't help that, bro. I love that girl to death, man. That's just what it was. I was gonna do anything for her. And hell, I was already doing everything for her. And also too, I knew all the shit that I caused her and what she became, even more. She didn't believe that she was gonna have a relationship, but I made it clear, like, I'm here. I know all the fucked up shit I did, but I got you, shawty. That's just what it was gonna be. But nevertheless, she forgave me, right? And so now we're trying to have a new leaf, a new foundation, new chapter, right? And then the second week of her coming back and we getting back reconnecting, she started to go to Monet full throttle and really started to get some entrepreneurship. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give myself another fucking year of holding us down again. And I hope this shit work out, because I believe in you and I believe in us. And that's what it's gonna be, right? Second week, it became very apparent that a lot of stuff that I caused her and put her through starting to show more of in her character of, feeling like, can I really trust you? Or, really believe in my words, because I wasn't a man of my actions. I wasn't a man of words. I was just doing all kind of shit, right? So by being that way, it caused her character to kind of change around me. So love was changing in her eyes too as well. But she knew that was a very powerful thing. She knew I really was going to be there, because in the day I never put my hands on it. She always had the place. So she definitely came back and we started to get shit rolling. But in that second week mark, when we was living it up, having a good time, I had an emotional flood of her, getting drunk and things of the nature and expressing all kind of shit for like 6+ hours. And it was a very, very emotional flooding. If people don't know what that definition means, look up emotional flooding, what that means, right? If you actually know what that means, so imagine being emotionally flooded for 6 hours, listening to somebody, and anything that you say was gonna be used back against you. Anything that came up in the past is gonna be brought back against you. and you can't do nothing. You can't put your hands on her. You can't bring her, because at this point we wait from home. So I'm not leaving you, but better yet, this is a fucked up situation. Calm your ass down, let's go. But that just wasn't the case for me. Navigating that mode, I had to sit there for 6+ hours of listening to her doing all kind of shit because she was drunk and putting us through a sticky situation. And of course, looking back, I know I could have handled it much differently, but that's how I handled it during that time, right? So during that time, after that, the next day, whatever like that, we got back home eventually and she calmed down, whatever. I made it very clear to her, you have 1 year to get your shit together. If not, this is done. It ain't gonna never happen again. It ain't gonna be nothing like shit. Like, cool, because I need help. And not no love help. I need help to survive at this point. And I was still this around the time I was like, I'm getting out the fucking military. The shit about to get real for me. So I'm like, no, I need this shit. I need help. So by having that realness with her, she was like, I got you. And throughout this time too, she started to try to do more, become more household orientated. And when I say that, she tried to. That's just not who she is. But better yet, the reason why I even expressed that the first year, just give you guys a glance, because I mean, me and my queen, we talked about family, life, visions, dreams, everything, how we want to raise it. That's when I was like, I never even talked to that degree with my first, but this one, it was like very like, this is my everything, I even started thinking about when I was gonna propose to her and everything like that. And my proposal, I mean, I kid you not, looking back, and it's some raw ass shit. I was literally gonna propose to her once she got the job and she started being able to pay like half the rent. I started contributing to that regard. So that was literally in her hands. And for me as the man, that's when I felt it was gonna be the right time for me. It just never worked out that way of actually her contributing in that regard. So looking back, that's how I would have proposed quickly, once I got the help. But why would I do that and put myself in a deeper hole financially, and it made it even more at times if I know I'm gonna be the one paying for it? No, that would have been fucked up. So that's what I'm saying. Love was cool and amazing and all, but I was woken up from that. So now this is our year, right? This is the last year we was together. During that time, around 6-month mark, it's when I already knew in myself, I'm like, this ain't she's going for it. She's trying to get that shit. She's doing whatever she could. And some days, we still have little fractions of healings that still needs to be healed. Like I told you guys, the woman healing, and at this point, she was dealing with so much for me and stuff, navigating stuff again for me as the man. I'm evolving of understanding. Like, I hear it and I see it and I understand. But even more so, if you're forgiving me, how can we push forward? So it's not to dismiss any of that stuff. It's just more so, I'm thinking about the now and I'm trying to take care of the now. I don't give a fuck about the past. But that can be a toxic thing that men do. And it's just not cool. So you gotta understand how to really understand if you do something to a woman to that extreme and she keeps bringing it up, then it's probably I need to have space, because it just eats her too much, or it's just too strong, right? So even more so by doing that, bro. Now I really throughout that year, it just ended up being very clear, and when they never really working out, it just wasn't gonna happen, right? And so the year was up. The day before, right, on the few weeks before, I noticed how she was starting to cook and clean more around the house more consistently, obviously. But nevertheless, the day came and I already bought her a ticket. So I knew it wasn't gonna happen. And I sent her out. I bought her a ticket and got her home and stuff like that. Obviously, it's a very emotional time for me, but even more so even for her, because she couldn't believe it. But even more so for me, it definitely showed me like, wow, it's about 3 years of my life. And ultimately, too, I'm about to get out soon. Shit. I'm about to get out in a few months. Damn. The fuck I'm going to do? And I was still all this debt now. It's like over 20-something thousand. Like, fuck, jeez. It's way over 20,000. So I was like, damn, bro, all these years I'm collecting all this shit from us and sacrifice from us and believing in us and eventually knowing I was going to get help, because that's what I expect from somebody who supports me and I support her to eventually get back. It never turned out that way. So when she was gone, she was still at that point, still going for more, and still trying to get that shit right. You know what I'm saying? At this point, she sacrificed a lot. So she believed in that dream, stepped going for it. And also, too, just to give you guys clarity, we was broken up, but I still talk to the girl all the fucking time, because I still love that shit. I still love that girl. That's just what it was. You know what I'm saying? So it never was going to go away. It's just like, wake the fuck up. When we not apart, like, if I'm doing some shit extreme, wake the fuck up. Just get a job. You can get another job with your master's degree. You can get a job $3,000-4,000 plus a month. It's easy. And all the dreams and everything we talked about, it could have been done within the first few months. For me, it was more so understanding. It just showed how much of a mental strain and put on her of all the shit that I've been through would cloud her judgment of understanding. If I just get a job, all this shit is secure. We can go on traveling every 2 or 3 months because all my money is play money. All her money is play money. You know, we can start a family whenever we want because now we can support it because we got 2 incomes. All this shit would have been solved within the first few months of her us moving to Cali, but because I put her through so much shit, it clouded how she look at things, how she see things. And I look back upon it and I understand. So I can't blame her for that, and I just have to take that what it is, right? But also too, I told myself I don't ever want to put a woman through that ever again, because it got to that point of people can see outside in, like, nigga, why don't she get like you? And I'm like, I don't fucking know, and I'm living this life. It don't make sense. But looking back, I'm like, I get it. I get it. So there's no, you have to let it go and let it be what it is, right? So now, this is when I became single, and this is when I became more, not to say a menace, but this is when shit got real. So when I say shit got real, this is within a month. I took a time for myself to really recalibrate what I am, who I am, what I went about, right? Now the standpoint of me had to change because now it's the second time up of really, I wanted this to be forever. Why it's not forever? And I still couldn't believe this one because this was much worse than the first one and how it happened, right? I was doing way more money, way more energy, way more effort, and way more consistency. But before the first, I was lying and cheating and all kind of bullshit that I had with my inner turmoil of who I am and what I was about. So this is way more worse. And it wasn't really worse upon her, it's worse upon me. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm like, all right, being single, I ain't with none of this relationship and all this bullshit ever again. That shit dead. But even more so during that time, I still couldn't help but feel bad. Of like, I really put that girl through some shit. And let alone, it's still, end of the day, it's time limit. Fuck all that. So now with this year, right? Now this next time of me about to get out in a few months, right? That first month of her leaving and stuff like that, cool. I'm solitude, just me, just trying to fix it out, recalibrate, like, okay, I'm back in this month, I'm back in this month. I got in the dating game, y'all. I kid y'all not, because I was just I'm built different in the sense of dating and how all this time I actually learned about women so in depth within the first month or two of me actually being in the dating game, just being on Tinder, you know, going out and having fun, social media, and just doing shit, right? I got up to a 5-woman rotation. Now, when I say a 5-woman rotation, these are quality ass women, you know, and I had different races, Hispanics, whites, Asians, like all kind of shit, right? And it baffled me how easy it was, but even more so, what was fucking with me in my heart is how deep I can make them fuck with me. And when I say deep, like they see me as the future. And for me, I never really understood that until it got to a point of how every woman would kind of start to say the same shit of like, I'm so refreshing, but even more so, I'm the type of guy that your mother and shit would be proud of. And I'm saying I'm the type of guy you settle down with and shit like that. For me, I'm just like, yo, shawty, I ain't with all that shit. But that's just the aura I bring, and that's how I carry myself. When I listen to a woman, I give off that, not to say relationship essence, but I give off that safeguard, that safety net, that protection, but even more so a space of just pure, I love this piece. And in the dating world, a lot of guys don't know how to create that because of their personality and what they was upbringing. But for me, I created this based upon my experience and what I don't never want a woman to experience again. That was just why I did how I am the way I am during that time, right? And this was like in 2020. So throughout the year, that's when I actually started to date more, you know, the black culture, right? And I never really dated the black culture throughout this time. Crazy thing is, throughout the world and all this stuff, I've been with over 100 women at this point. I never really dated and been with a black woman, and her support was definitely different from most than I ever experienced, which is crazy. The supportive mechanism of black women is very powerful. But let alone, throughout this time, I was still talking to my ex and still trying to figure some shit out with her because I still didn't want to let her go. But even during this time, I'm still dating other new women and things in the nature, right? Learning to do those things and starting to get a new supportive of this black queen. So now during this time, I still went to fly out. I still went out shoot my ex in Hawaii. So a few months later, it's like June right now, it's November or some shit like that. I've flown out to go her. And of course, me and her, we don't really know what a breakup is. Whenever we see each other, we connect back sexually and things of that nature and get back, recalibrate with one another, right? Because we still talk to each other all the time and still seeing each other all the time, FaceTime shit. But even more so when we're not doing all that, I'm dating these other women and things of nature. Now I'm spending time with this new black queen, right? And off the rip, too, and most people don't even know, most people don't even know this at all about me. But during that time, the seed of actually me having multiple queens and all those things was actually from my ex. She put that seed in my mind. And then being around her during that time, it actually shifted into not just being a seed, but more so a plant and trying to grow into a fucking tree, but into the damn field of like, that could be the answer to all my problems, better yet, your fucking problems. Or why don't we just have another woman around us? And a woman that's supportive, because in the day, it started to collect. What are we trying to do in life? A family. Well, guess what? In a family, you have to do a maiden mother, you have to do all this other nannies and shit. You still got to have all that shit regardless. So why not have an actual supportive queen that can actually support us, right? And then I started to look at this black queen. I'm like, wow, y'all more alike than I could possibly imagine. But even more so, the missing thing that I felt like wasn't creating us to have longevity, but even more so in a lot of relationships, longevity is that I can never be everything to a woman. And I tried to, and I damn near killed myself to be that. Because I can never understand her, because I'm not a fucking woman. I don't look to be in that maximum lane. But for a woman, y'all can have a bond that like I can never compete with or fuck with. So why not have a woman that you guys can have that type of bond and feeling things that we could just never be, and we can be a collective unit, right? So that was my mentality on that. And also now being out the military, and I just joined school right at that time, and unemployment and all this other shit that I got going on. I was making like over $78,000 a month. I was like, shit, I can support this shit. If this shit pop off, fuck it, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So nevertheless, by doing that, I started to make my own mental plan to how to align this queen over here to my previous queen right here, right? And of course, me and her, the new queen, we never really, and also I was still dating with other women, but I kind of started to tone that down because I seen what my priority of really wanting to have that's gonna be longevity and action in life is to have two queens. But these two queens I felt was more like, had a lot of benefits to one another, but even more so, it would solve a lot of things on even her part that she was missing, not seeing in her life. And especially in my previous queen's life, right? So I was like, okay, how can I actually have a game plan and also have a logical sense of how to go about this healthy rise of, making us all work out accordingly and line it up properly. So that was the essence of what I was trying to do, right? Now, fast forward to time, right? So I end up at this time, about a few months later, spending time with this queen, right? We done experienced a lot of things and seasons and stuff, and she's me, loves me, and she rides and dies for me, your boy. And my other queen, she still ride or die for me. She wasn't doing shit with nobody's left, so it was expressed to me. She was still being loyal to me too. So I had two women being loyal to me in a sense of sexual exclusivity, but even more so ride for me, right? So I'm like, fuck it then, shit, I got it, let's do it. So made a plan for my ex to come back into my life, and she was gonna stay with me. And then my other queen, she's about to meet my ex, and unfortunate to say, I didn't really give choice to both of them. I didn't give choice to both of them. This is what's going down, this is how it's gonna go down. This is what I want. This is what I want to try to happen and go for, right? But my other ex, though, she still had a plan that if this doesn't work, I'm going to Vegas. But in the day, I don't want to lose us. So that's how it went down, right? So she came back, of course, the first weeks or so, me and my ex was getting back reunited to be together. My other queen, unfortunately, we had to die down whenever we seen each other. And we finally made them all meet, or I finally set up so we all could meet, start having dinner, slumming parties, and started to actually spend time together. And throughout that time, the first weeks or so, it was a lot of emotional craziness, stuff like that. And most men probably wouldn't be able to handle that because I'm very psychotic and understand women nature of how they move and emotions and stuff, and communicates the healthy way for them to actually express themselves, to make sure everything is level-headed and communicated. It started out beautiful. I can tell you guys that. For me, it was like, okay, cool, this shit should work out, this shit might work out, because these women believe in me, right? The thing that started to happen throughout that time we started off right here, and I'm thinking we're getting closer and closer, but it started to actually be like this, become further and further on both sides. And it got to a point of, wow, for me on my part, this was a mistake. And when I say it was a mistake, it wasn't so. The mistake of it was that I was doing it solely upon trying for something for myself, but I should have been listening. That actually would have made it work if I would have listened to both of them and they both kept expressing we need to ease into something like this. Instead of just, so that they was more so them getting closer because they felt like they had to because of me, and then they started to separate apart because they realized those two is living a life that they never even knew how to live and stuff like that, and culture differences and stuff. They don't really support that, but alone they gave themselves an honest try. But it was more revealed to me on how I had the real and then I had love. And when I say that, this woman over here, the queen, the black queen, I was ultra real with her more than I ever been with myself. And she experienced it to me, and that's all she knows of me. This woman over here is love. We've been through so much shit in life. And she don't know who I am now because we've been apart physically for so many months. But even more so, it's the standpoint of love. you know how love is, you know, vigilance, aspiration, everything. I never talked to her about this. I talked to her about all of her, and I talked to her about all of her. But in the essence of all that, it didn't work out that way, and we ended up separating. And when I say we, my ex again, we ended up separating again, and she wanted to leave and get out of there because she felt the situation was toxic. And the reason why a woman would say toxic is more so it's not aligned with what she wants. So anything that's not aligned with what a woman wants could be toxic, which is fine. So we still communicated though throughout the time, and they was to experience some things with each other that caused a discomfort and things just wasn't right. And for me, I'm just thinking back, I'm like, fuck, I tried. You know, I thought this was cool, that's whatever. And I see what I did that was fucked up. So I know what not to do the next time if there's gonna be a next time. But even more so, fuck it. That's what happens. And I'm like, cool, I guess I tried it. But the thing that I didn't account for was how I was two different people to her and to her. And I'm 65 and how I move and shit like that when I was all fucked up. But even more so, still how much love still had to play in my heart and my soul, right? So, and this is 2021, right? So now when she departed, we still talking and stuff like cool. And my new queen of supportiveness, Black Queen, she was just expressing me throughout that time. You should have healed. Or she expressed to me how I'm still fucked up because I'm in a selfish mode and not expressing so much, right? And it was still all fucked up, right? And she was starting to be some type of way. So you guys know, man, if you're not here, bro, don't fuck with a woman. Don't try not to, for real, because it starts to keep going. It's a fucking trend. It's a fucking trend. It just don't stop until you take the fucking time to sit your ass down and start going through every fucking thing to yourself first. And this when I thought I was already real, but now I started to get ultra real for myself and like how I need to be with myself and shit. So I had to go to another level. I was already a fucking menace. Now I had to go to fucking pure savagery within myself and then more so outside in too, right? So now the thing that made me real cold was whenever she left, right? And when she was departing from me, and this is when I made a plan to leave Cali and go straight to ATL and just create my own focus on no girls, no nothing, no friends, no nobody, just pure me. I want to create. That's when I was about to just come out there and get a house, start school, and just fucking chill until crypto and shit blow off. Right? That's the plan. That was my surface level. But I never promised nobody to be a part of that besides my previous queen, the Hawaiian queen, and I never gave that solidification to my Black queen, which even though she knew she wanted it, she was deserving of it, I never gave it to her. And that was just what it was, right? So I just knew at that point when she left, I'm like, okay, it's just gonna be me and I'm cool with it, fuck it, that's what it's gonna be. But during that time, I still expressed to her, because my words still being presented to me, of my queen, like how I wanted to be. But the thing I didn't account for was we still were cool on good terms, even though all this shit was happening, right? I didn't account for Lily didn't want to get in contact with me, didn't want to talk to me, don't want me to call her, don't want me to do shit to her. And the reason why that fucked me up more than times than anything that happened throughout all the years between us, military, I ain't had no choice I couldn't talk to her, River City and all the shit that happens on the ship that shuts off all the signals and shit. But even more so in life, she's busy, I'm busy, I'm sleeping, feel like it, right? This time in our whole life, since we've been together, it's the first time we had choice and we could, if we wanted to, kid each other and talk to each other. But I couldn't at all because of her wish, and I had to respect her wishes. And a lot of shit during that 2-3 months, man, it was a lot of shit. I caught COVID. I had all kinds of shit going on with myself. And let alone to get you guys not that shit. I found out a way to clear my debt and stuff that was accumulated and reform into a new way to make all that relief and shit for myself just be cool and shit like that. And what I'm saying? So I was, for myself economically, I was at prime time that year. I was chilling, you know what I'm saying? I ain't worried about shit. So that's why I was on some chill shit, but better yet, my movement was different, and because it shouldn't have been based upon me, because it was selfish time for me, because I was figuring some shit out for myself, but it should have still been reflecting of taking their words into consideration, because a lot of my choices was reflecting what they felt and shit too, like that. So I didn't account for my Hawaiian queen's absence in my life, which I never had, and that's what actually made me more colder and realizing that life is only me. You know what I'm saying? Even in that time, all my previous debt I collected with her, she still never contributed to that, because she ended up getting a job whenever she came back in my life, because that was the only plan for it. But in that job, I told her to stack up for at least a month or two. So I don't want you to never not have money again, because throughout these years, she went through a frenzy of not having any money at all. But now once you get money, I'm like, yo, look, I don't want you to support that ASAP. Stack up your money first for yourself, and then when you start supporting, I know it's real. But even more so, the toxicity of the atmosphere of us three wasn't really conductive to her. She wanted to separate to go to Vegas right after that. So I had the choice to make. She told me, she expressed to me, it's either gonna be me and her or she out. And she out because she wanted to protect our friendship at least. And I didn't think that altercation or that ultimatum was sufficient because of the fact is all this time, all the stuff I collected and all the stuff I've done for that wasn't based upon choice. It was based upon love, and it was based upon this is what it is and this is what it ain't. But now, because you have choice, you give me choice and ultimatum, like that ain't cool. So because of that, I'm like, no, you can just go. I figured shit out myself, which I was. And I have been throughout all these years. So I'm like, fuck it, I figured out at this point, I accepted this is my choice and why I did all this stuff. But for her, she was able to just go out in the world, and as soon as you get money, that's hard money. She ain't got no difference like car loan and shit. So I'm like, shit, she chilling. You know, at that point, her family paying her own stuff and stuff. So I'm like, damn, she big time. But for me, I still had the economical damage and even more so the spiritual and emotional stuff of us. And I'm just like, damn, well, that's fucked up. And I'm trying to navigate like, damn, this is crazy shit. So that's why when that few months of her being gone fucked me up with silence, because she was expressing me whenever she came back of trying to get back in my life and stuff. All the stuff she was doing, of sleeping around, threesomes and shit, which we never even did we? I don't know. It's been so much. It's been so long. So nevertheless, all the stuff she was doing and stuff like that, which for me, I grown to be a man. I don't give a fuck what you're doing. Loyalty is based upon your actions. Shit, you fuck around with cool. Just make sure you're safe, get protected. But I don't give a fuck about none of that. End of the day, it's all about the principles of economics. That's what I switched into. And so nevertheless, I became more colder and understanding in life. Man, it's only me. It's only me. That's how it's gonna be. But even more so with this new queen that I have, is this something that I know I'm not ready for and want to do to the next level, because now I need to hear from a whole new thing that I've just experienced with her. And throughout this time, and it's the last year, you guys, so it's about to be over with, of really understanding. Now, fast forward that time when she tried to come back in my life, I'm like, bro, the plan of us, me and you, when I go to ATM, is like, that shit dead. It's just me. The visions of all the stuff we talk about for years, and I'm like, cool, I felt like I was the only one actually doing whatever it takes to make this shit happen. That was my dreams, now it's my aspirations, and I'm gonna keep continuing on. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it's gonna be. But even more so, the queen that I am around right now, you need to know how to acknowledge her, but even more so respect her, because she never done no wrong by you. She only looked to be here of essence of you because of me. But even more so, upbringings of society and how monogamy is a big thing and stuff like that. And the polygamy standpoint of, people can call it polygamy, but for me, the standpoint of having multiple queens, it was only in a matter of understanding what was absent in my one-on-one relationship, something I can never fulfill. And all the premises of it all too, just being together with somebody, marriage and all the stuff like that, is to have a family. And I felt the conduction of that is based upon having 2 queens at least, and we can all work as a collective unit to live and function. But before all that can happen, I need to have evolved as a man. And I wasn't an evolved version of what I am now, of understanding how to go about conducting that business, because in the day, family's a business. So now I do, but I had to learn as the essence of what a woman is and what it takes, right? So because I learned a lot of those things, right? Now I'm out here now. Before I left to actually go to ATL, instead of actually coming out here to get a house and stuff like that, I actually met a dope business guy, and by meeting him, I invested in myself, $25K. I invested in myself to really go into making my own business from scratch and really understanding, like, that's Kingship mindset. There's too many guys out here who do not know how to date, and even more so don't know the back end of all this healing, all this stuff they're gonna be dealing with in the process, but even more so all the causes and what it does to a woman, but even more so for themselves, how over time their inner turmoil become a stain, and a permanent stain that fucks up your mind, but even more so fucks up how you move and how you look at a woman. And for me, that's why I created so many different type of essences of programs, but even more so each one specializes in the actual essence of you in a pillar, for instance, right? One, obviously the main bread and butter one is to prepare past relationship traumas. For me, the reason why it's the bread and butter and why I express that and why I learned it to create these things and talking to these guys throughout that time of when I left here, it was like September, November frame, from all the absence stuff I got, right? I left by myself and I went to actually spend time with family again. I ain't seen family in years, and I didn't even know what that word mean to me. So to be able to be blessed to be with family from that point to like 7-8 months, pure focus on working out, getting back in tune with who I am, what I am, why I am, and creating a business from scratch. Start talking to so many guys, hundreds of guys, hundreds, I don't know how fucking many, creating all this stuff, creating all this content, Everything predicated upon really giving the man the power to really understand who the fuck he is, but even more so, before you can find out who you looking to be, you got to know who you are at this moment, but even more so, you have to understand where you were. And most of the time, guys are trying to move forward, not even understanding where they were, and they don't know how to break it down. So really for me, having the first bread and butter repair past relationships, really understanding all those levels of true self acceptance and understanding the pillars and exercise and everything that needs to be done, to really have true self acceptance. And the next thing, have a new morality standard. Really know what the fuck, how you trying to live, why you trying to go about this, why you are the way you are. And even more so, insecurity protections. You have to have insecurity protection. You have to understand guys have insecurities too, but even more so, how to protect that mechanism of understanding what I was, hey, I'm not too good for this and all that cool. How to limit all that shit and shut all that shit down and know the exercise and steps to really tuck all that shit and really get all that shit in place, the bread and butter one, of course, and really understand things to a whole new level, but even more so, most men don't create a focus zone. You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest thing that I really can't stress enough. And for me, creating that focus zone, and even more so, having that, I became a totally different man, even to what I was already. And instead of being pure savagery, instead of being all this stuff like that, I became my own king. And when I say king, I created my own kingdom. And not just a kingdom. People don't understand what is a kingdom, right? When I say kingdom, what is your kingdom? Your body. For me, I lost over 27 pounds and I focus on, but even more so now, working out. I want to live in time like 100 or something, right? Because for me, family means something totally different for me, and being exposed to it to a whole new way now. I want to be here to see Caleb the fourth. I probably need to be 110 or something like that, right? So if I monitor what the fuck I eat now, if I eat bad once a week, twice a week, or whatever, I can eat whatever I want to eat and still have my teeth, body, and everything still fully intact, especially being Black culture. Amen. We don't crack. But even more so understanding, hey, what are my assets? You know, do I have cryptos? Do I have real estate? Do I have things like that blowing and blossoming, which I do? And I'm like, damn, okay, I have some shit to pass down if I was to have kids. And I still got a book. I got a podcast now. Hey, I got actual booklets. You know, hey, I got shit that, okay, cool. If I died, I'm still here. And that's dope and stuff like that. Even more so when somebody talk to me, hey, am I pure of service to them? Like, what the fuck is my kingdom? What do I have to offer to people? Hey, do I have a nice ass apartment, place to stay, car, sexy shit? Like, do I have all this shit? Yes, I do, but I want more. And it's not for the fact that it matters. I want more for me, because I understand me now. I started to look around in life and started to see like, man, the modern man is fucked. And when I say modern man, traditional man is long gone, because we're not dealing with the same women no more throughout this time, me dating and dealing with all this stuff, actually looking out and actually started to experience all these women. I'm like, damn. A woman tell me all the time, a breath of fucking fresh air. Why is that? Just like I'm telling you all this shit like that. And that's just a glaze of one of the programs, a glaze of understanding the work that I put in for myself, what I actually discovered, but even more so women seeing me, but even more so understanding, just to even get deeper, why I am and where I'm going. The modern man right now, unfortunately say, we're looking at these alpha, betas, and all this shit like that, right? None of that shit fucking matter, bro. Why does none of that shit matter? Don't look to be something you're not. Look to be who you are. If you're the fucking modern man, all modern men look to be who they are. Why are you trying to work to be something that you're not, bro? You're not traditional. You're not a strong man. You're not this and like that. That's fine, bro. That's fine. Accept who you are. And accepting who you are, it's your fucking superpower. There's billions of people who ever existed. All of us have different fingerprints. Why is that? We're all uniquely designed every way. Your impression of a woman, your impression of anybody you talk to and meet like that will be totally different how it'll be if you look to be yourself. It's that simple, bro. It's not complicated. But in order to be yourself, you have to unclog yourself in so many mechanisms and really unlock your full essence to shine bright. And that's what kingship is. Kingship mindset is all about. Really understanding how to help you shine bright and stop wasting time, money, effort on shit that really is not predicated on making you shine bright. Instead of redesigning you who you are, how about you forcing yourself to be you? And if you don't like you, once you don't unclog yourself in so many ways, then that's when it's the easiest to change who you are, when you can see yourself clearly. That's the real way to go about it, in my own truth. And that's what I came to find out, you know. And during this time, of course, in my dating life now, I've dated multiple women. They all known each other. I've had a lot of encounters. I've been around women, all healthy. I'm not a player. I'm not a pimp, not anything. I'm a king. And why am I a king? I don't believe in no toxicness. I don't believe in no drama. I don't believe in none of that shit. You want to know something? I'll tell you if you can handle it. Even if you can't handle it, that's not on me for you to take, but I'm gonna let you know the truth. This is where I'm at, this is where I'm going, this is where I'm trying to be. You with it? Cool, you ain't gotta be with it. Cool, I'm gonna still respect them, I'm still fuck with you and cool, but you're not gonna get no more access. And that's fine. So men need to understand how to conduct themselves accordingly to access. Your standards should be accesses accordingly. If a woman is looking to be loyal to you and how you express like, hey, this is what loyalty to me to you. Out of all this shit, I don't give a fuck about none of shit. You need to be sexually loyal to me. If you can do that shit, then you can get access more and more and more. And all that shit that you do is a bonus to what other access you get. That's the standard. And that's okay to have, bro. Nothing wrong with having that type of standard. Nothing wrong with that. So as the man and as yourself, you set the foundation. This new modern woman and things of that nature that we're dealing with, you being the man that you can be, it's easy to deal with. Be a new man. And this traditional man can't really thrive in this new era. How many times do you see people actually staying together for over 20 plus years? Or even if they do, these celebrities and all that shit like that, even though there's exceptions, even all that shit, they still end up breaking up at the end of it all. So what does that mean? Don't look for fucking longevity. It ain't working right now. It ain't happening right now. So fuck all that longevity stuff. Look to appreciate every fucking moment and monitor every fucking moment and be in the moment every moment. The reason why, you never know when it's going to end. For me, I'm telling you, I never know when it was going to end. But now when I get older, I know when it's going to end. And it's sort of for me watching and understanding the woman that I'm dealing with and me, how often do I express myself and keep her, not to say in check, but mindful of your actions. All right, you about to lose some shit. Keep it up. So in this understanding that you're watching the growth of where you at and where you're trying to go, but even more so you get to learn her through seasons, and over time, now you can give her full access, but even more so, understand how to organize yourself. If you're dating a woman, she has clear, certain access to you. When you're actually a vibe, and when I say a vibe, most people say they have friends, right? People got friends, right? But how can that be my friend if I fucked her? That's not my friend, that's a vibe. A friend is somebody you never fucked. You know what I'm saying? If I fucked her, that's a vibe. We ain't just friends. So your girl gonna look at you like, bro, that's not your friend. You fucked her, that's a vibe. So understand, men throughout dating, vibes, actual in a twin flame level or low-key relationship, that's a different. And then marriage, and then after marriage, obviously a motherhood, and after motherhood, grannyhood, like all that shit is different levels that she needs to start to gain access toward you. So as the man, you need to identify yourself. What accesses can I allow a woman to have? And that's how you're gonna know the difference between open and vulnerability. But that'll be an audio program I'm releasing soon. But nevertheless, it's really, and to sum all this up, and it's been about an hour, you guys. But to sum it all up so you guys can have a really actual clear cut of my dating history, is to really, really, really understand, Kingship mindset, the origin of it all, and why I created it, and why I look to help millions of guys, in which I am looking pretty good helping the guys. It's really more so understanding the truth of the matter of it all. If you're not fucking true to yourself and take the time to work on you in all categories, you know that needs to be worked on to get you to where you want to go, then what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? You're wasting time, you're wasting money, you're wasting effort, when it could be purely directed and precision on exactly the results that you want to free up so much more so you can be able to obtain so much more freedom. And that's what the fuck I do for you. Kingship mindset. So hit me up if you want to. If not, continue to be where the fuck you at. And watch how it's gonna keep turmoil in you, causing all these other problems, and keep wasting bullshit that you already been dealing with. And you never had the homie, aka you actually obviously need a mentor to help you unclog the things that you never even navigated before, versus talking to somebody who actually navigated all those realms. And I'm over there today, thriving, creating, being a blessing, and being of service first, more than anything to all my guys nowadays. So if you feel like this is you, hit me up with the word Kingship. If not, I hope you got some fucking free value, and even more so entertain the story, but even more so learn a lot of things about my mistakes that can help you throughout your mistakes nowadays. You guys be safe.